What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the Struggle to Strength podcast, your source for real life application on how to turn your struggles into strengths in all things mind, muscle, and money. I am your host, Josh Levine, and I am joined here by my longtime friend and my co-host, Travis Hatch. And today, we've got one of the most talented creators I know joining us, Rico Incarnati, who shares a ton of value on all things content creation, pursuing happiness, and being a fucking shark. You might know him through his previous work with Jordan Syatt and other top names in the fitness industry. Honestly, y'all, Rico and Trav can talk way over my head on all things media, equipment, and content. So when we go there, I was excited because now it's my turn to play the part of dumb and curious. So stay tuned for some good laughs and a ton of value. But before we get into it, we ask that if you love this episode, please give us 5 stars on Apple or a follow on Spotify. Share us on your socials. You can find me at Josh Levine Fitness, Trav at Travis Hawks Media, and Rico at Rico.Incarnati. Links are in the show notes. Don't forget, you can also follow the podcast on Instagram. We got tons of valuable clips there for you, so go check it out. Share them to your stories. We really appreciate it. You can find us at Struggle to Strength Pod. Link again is in the show notes. That's it. Get ready for some good laughs and some great conversation with Rico. We'll see you inside.
Recording in progress.
Whoa, shit. I was not expecting.
Recording in progress.
Yeah, honestly, dude, ever since meeting you at NCI and seeing what you did on the spot with Jason, I thought it'd be really valuable to have you on here and teach us and also the listeners a little bit about, well, what you do and then how to be better at creating content and just media in general. But I don't know if I haven't told you this, but when we met at NCI, I remember you came up to me and you were like, "Hey, you're Josh, right?" And we started talking about content, and I texted Travis and I was like, "Dude, Rico knows us." I was like, yes, like he knows us. But it was really exciting. And then to see you, present the good information that you did, that was a great event, man. It was good to meet you there.
Yeah, man, likewise. And we have to give a shout out to Scott Sims for linking us because he sent me a text saying like, "Yo, my buddy Josh is there." And I'm like, "Where's Josh?" Got it. Okay, let me go say hi to him.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
Well, let's get into it. I mean, for the listeners who don't know who Rico is, you're definitely one of the most talented creators I know. You specialize in photo and video, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Very
sir.
well versed in all forms, media, social, content creation. Anything I'm missing? Tell us about you.
I teach you how to be a fucking shark.
Fuck yeah. Oh yeah, it's your podcast.
Yeah. That's also my motto. My motto is be a fucking shark.
Sick.
So
I like that.
thanks, man.
Basically blood in the water.
That's right.
Yeah.
Basically not to be a guppy and be a fucking shark.
Ooh, the guppies.
My motto is like, in a world full of minnows, be a fucking shark.
I like that. Yeah. That's strong.
What are the qualities of a shark? What are the top qualities of a shark?
So this is a great question. So sharks can't physically swim backwards, otherwise they will die. So it is a model to keep moving forward. And sharks just don't give a fuck about what day of the week it is or what everybody else thinks because they're too busy letting people know they're a fucking shark.
Facts.
I like that.
Facts.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
I didn't know sharks couldn't swim backwards. I like that part though.
They physically can't or they will die. And that's something that like resonates with me because I'm like, ooh, like you just gotta keep moving forward. Like no matter how painful it is, no matter how like deep it is, no matter how dark it is, it's just like it's one step in front of the other, you know?
Yeah. I like that.
You're going to go cage diving with sharks. Did I see that?
Oh, dude.
Oh, really?
Yes, that is a goal of mine. That is like a dream. I would love to go cage diving with great white sharks. I don't care if they're 20, 30 feet. Like I just want to be able to see a great white shark and be like, yep, that can kill me. And I love those animals still.
That's sick. That would be awesome. I would love to do that. It's actually been on my list. I don't know when I'm going to be able to do that. But you probably get to travel a lot for work, right? And just create awesome content.
Which is dope, I'm extremely like fucking grateful for that. I just need to somehow find a gig with a company that does the like they do the diving and I'll be like, yo, I'll do the photo and videos for you. Let me cage dive for you.
Yeah. That's awesome. Now, have you always been into travel and did you purposely find your passion around something that would allow you to do more of that? Or how did you get into photo video really?
Great question. So I actually wanted to become a pediatrician. I never had sights on being a videographer, creator, photographer, getting into this whole field at all. My whole goal was I wanted to be a pediatrician ever since I was 17 years old. And that's when I became a CNA, certified nursing assistant. And that's when I was like, cool, I'm going to be Enrico the doctor, and I am going to go to DePaul. I'm going to go to med school. And so, I mean, I don't know how deep you want me to get into it. I can just go.
Yeah, no,
cool.
I want it all.
Good. So for the longest time when I was a young kid, I had always wanted to live up to my father's expectations. And so for me, that was being a doctor, because I knew it was a well-paying job. I was going to make, well into the six figures, and it was going to be very secure. I would have the prestige of being a doctor. And I would make my family proud and be able to like provide for my family. And so for me, that was always a career where I'm like, ooh, this is safe, right? Where it's like, that's a safe career for me. No matter what happens, like I will always have a job. Like I will always be in demand for a doctor, right? And so I was actually on Sarah and Kenny's podcast last week. And I told this to them because, do you guys remember in high school when you would have like, obviously the ACT and junior year, but then you'd also have like the plan or the explore test freshman, sophomore year. Do you guys remember those? Like the career path tests?
I think so.
So we would have those, and I would deliberately like answer questions that would then give me the answer that I wanted of being a doctor, not necessarily like what I felt right. It was always like, given these options, which one applies best to you? And I was always the one I'm like, fuck, what would a doctor answer? And I'm like, this one, but it never felt intuitively right. It was always like, okay, cool. This is going to give me a result that when I bring this home to my dad, he's gonna be like, see, I told you you're supposed to be a doctor, And so I did that for freshman year, sophomore year. And mind you, it was just being built within my family and my family friends of like, Enrico's going to be a doctor. Every time someone saw me, it was like, oh, Enrico, the doctor. And I'm like, I'm 16 years old. I'm like, I'm not even a doctor yet. Like I have years to go. But it was always that expectation of like, he's going to become a doctor. Right. And so I'm like, in the back of my mind, it was always this, okay, I have to be a doctor, have to act like one, have to behave like one. Right. And so that's when I got my certified nursing assistant license when I was 17, practiced as a certified nurse. And then in senior year, I went to like advanced chemistry and advanced all this other bullshit that I hated. And then freshman year, I enrolled at DePaul University to health sciences to be on the track to be a pediatrician. And there came a point where I just hated it. I realized I'm like, I am doing this for my father and not me. Right. I'm like, I am doing this for my dad, for my family, and this isn't for me at all. And I'm like, in 30, 40 years from now, I'm going to regret this because I know for the next 10 years, I have to literally give up my life and just dedicate to being a doctor. And this isn't to say if you want to be a doctor, be a doctor. But for me, I was just like, I can do so much more in the next 5 to 10 years than like just going to medical school. I didn't know what that was. Like I did not know what that was, but I knew it wasn't that, right? And that's sometimes the beauty that a lot of people struggle with, where it's like, that's why trying things and going through things, that you find what you don't want, right? It helps weed that out, but it helps guide you towards what you actually do want. And that's something that's super important, because a lot of people, they get stuck in these things of like, well, I feel like I should be doing this, or I feel like I have to do this. Well, it's like, no, you can taste it, but if you don't like it, cool, weed that out. And like, then it guides you towards what you actually really want. And so I literally had to have a conversation with my dad. And this is where we built up like a 2 to 3 year relationship where it was really weird, where it was like, well, what are you going to do? Well, what are you going to actually do now? Like, you're not gonna be a doctor. So what's the plan? I didn't know the plan. But I would rather have sacrificed the 2 to 3 years of not having a good relationship as opposed to 80 years of resenting my father because I did what he wanted. And so for me, having that conversation was tough, but I was just like, Dad, I just don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to go to chemistry lab. I don't want to be carrying my gym bag until 10 o'clock at night. And when lab gets out and then go to the gym at 10 p.m., I'm like, this is just boring for me. I got more excitement about going to the gym after my chem labs than like actually labs. And I'm like, there's just something that I feel like I should be doing, and it's not this. And so at the time I was watching a lot of like Christian Guzman, Max Tuning, a lot of like fitness YouTubers. And I'm like, what if I just like start vlogging? I'm like, I don't know. Like I had no idea how to vlog, didn't even know what vlogging was. And so I was working at my school's gym at the time, and I had saved up enough money to buy a GoPro for myself. And so that weekend I went to go to Best Buy and I went to go buy a GoPro. And if you look at the very first video on my YouTube channel, it is so awkward, but it's of me with a GoPro filming, no idea what angles were, no idea like anything. I was just like, I'm going to just do it. Right. And so I posted it and I'm like, this is fun. I'm like, oh, I'm going to be the next Christian Guzman. Right. And that's what really started me on this whole path of like filming and fitness and everything. And like I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what I like thought it would become, but I knew that like what I didn't want to do, and that was be a doctor. And so there was also a period in my life where during this time, it was like a darker period. And this is why I'm so passionate about mental health. And this is why I have a tattoo that says Forza right here, which in Italian means strength. And so during this time when I dropped the medical field, I didn't know what I wanted to do, right? Like I had a real identity crisis. Like my whole identity as being a doctor just completely vanished. And I'm like, fuck, who am I? You know? And that's at the point where I attempted suicide, because I just felt like I didn't belong here. I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'll never be able to live up to these expectations that were once set. And it was just a really dark period where I'm like, what's the point, you know? And so I share that because I'm insanely passionate about mental health, because I'm always, and that's why it ties to being a fucking shark, right? Where it's like, no matter how deep things get, like if we want to relate it to the ocean or whatever, like no matter how deep things get, like you just got to keep swimming forward. You got to keep moving forward, you know? No matter how messy it is, no matter how unplanned it is, no matter what, it's just like one foot in front of the other. My soccer coach always taught me, it's like right foot, left foot, your body will follow, right? And it's taking that action. And so that was at the time, freshman, sophomore year. And so actually, it's funny, I got a reminder today, 3 years to the date was when I competed in Christian Guzman's summer shredding. I went down to Houston, Texas, and I visited Alpha Elite Gym. And that's where I met Zach, the Flexible Dieting Lifestyle. And he and I connected, and he was looking for a videographer. It was about a few months later, he was looking for a videographer to come with him to LA. And I'm like, dude, I'll do it. I didn't have any experience at the time, man. And mind you, I had just gotten hip surgery, no experience. But I told him, and I'm like, bro, I don't care who you have. I will work harder than them because I fucking want this, right? I'm like, I don't care who it is. I don't care who you have on deck. I'm like, I'll work harder than them. And so I worked with him from, let me think, this was 2017, like end of 2017, all the way up until spring of 2018. And so that's when I worked with him until that period of time. And then during that time, I actually met Jordan at an event, Jordan Syatt. I met him at a Pencils of Promise event in LA again, around January. And that's where I connected with him. And we met, like we just kind of shot the shit. I knew of him because he coached Gary. And then, let me see, I'm trying to keep timeline. So it was March 2018. That's when I finished working with Zach. And then between March and like October, November is when I was like doing my own thing. I was just like kind of doing freelance stuff. And Jordan was looking for a videographer, and I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, bro, I would love this opportunity. And so he's like, dude, like someone replied before you, but like, if it doesn't work out, I will let you know. And I vividly remember he called me December 1st and he's like, bro, you want to move to New York? I'm like, yep, did it. And so in 3 weeks, moved to New York. And I worked with Jordan for the past 2 years. And now, now I started my own production company, my own business, and like I have my own clients and everything now. And so that is the long story short for how I got into filming and videography and everything. That's
awesome, man. And powerful. I think most of the people that we talk to on this podcast who have found their passion and who are killing it, almost everybody has had sort of like a rock bottom moment. Travis and I both included. Travis was able to recognize his a little earlier than some of us were, than I was for sure. But I think a lot of people need that, and it obviously got you to where you are now. So that's really cool to see. And I was curious to know how you started working with Jordan. So I mean, that's awesome. It was just right place, right time. We're a fucking shark and went for it.
That's right. Yeah, literally. Like I met him at that event. At that charity event, and I knew him because I'm like, oh shit, he coaches Gary, and like I didn't know him for Jordan, I knew him as Gary's trainer, and I'm like, you know, I like weird, like when he followed me back, I'm like, oh shit, like this is big time type thing, and then he was looking for a videographer, but this just goes to show too, where it's like it's all about like connecting with people. Like so many people are just looking at a relationship as a transaction, and it's like, well, what can I get out of you? Like, and it's just like, and that's why people use people. And I'm just like, just be a good fucking person to people.
Yep.
Like just like offer them something, just be a good, like just offer them connection. Like you don't have to necessarily take something from them. Like just offer them something and just build a good relationship. Like that is the most undervalued thing. And that's why like there's so many other people that are like, well, how do I get more clients and stuff? And how do I get more referrals and all this?
Just
It's like,
talk to them.
yeah, talk to them, but like be a good fucking person. Like stop looking at someone as a dollar amount, start looking at them as a fucking human being first.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the problem is like my goal, and I know your goal as a coach is like we just want to serve people. Like we just want to serve people. Travis wants to serve people with video. I want to serve people with video. You want to serve people with like getting them results with their fat loss and building a better relationship with food and like actually able to go to a family party and not freak out, right? Like those are the things like we want to serve in that sense, but it's not like, okay, cool, we're doing this. This is how much you're worth to me. It's like, no, it's like building someone's relationship with food or helping someone with a video is priceless. And it's just like, it all starts from like being a good fucking human being.
Yeah. It's also all of these things. We're all in the service industry and it's all pretty intimate. Like a lot of it is very intimately based. And you sound a lot like Jason when you talk about it. I think that's why you two get along so well this is based in conversation, communication, and connection and like caring about people. There's probably 1,000 other C words that I could come up with, but that's really all it is connecting with people and being, like you said, a good fucking person. And you even go as far as just to like help people that aren't giving you money. And I think that's a huge part of this too. You're constantly giving out free information and trying to help people be better. You're not expecting money from them in return.
Yeah. And that's why I do. That's why I came up to you even at the event and I'm like, bro, if I can help you with anything, like I know you have Travis and I'm like, I don't want to overstep anything you guys have, but I'm like, if I can help in any way, cause I both want to see you guys fucking kill it. And it's just like, I don't know. It's just, Jason taught me this too, where it's like success is better with more people, right? It's like success is better like doing it together than alone. And I just think it's like, I don't know. I'm always a believer where I always give more than like I take, and in a funny way, it somehow comes back to me. But it's just like, I don't know. I genuinely like want people to fucking crush it. Like if I can help you with YouTube videos, like anything, it's like, I'm not asking you for anything, nor will I, but it's like, if I can help, like that's all I care about, you know?
Yeah.
It's a habit. Like it's a lifestyle. It's not it's not like a strategy.
Yeah.
It's a lifestyle. It's a habit. Yeah.
Literally, it's like that's why it comes so like intuitive for me, and I get fired up about it. Like when people, want to talk about content or anything, I'm like, let's fucking go, just because it's like it's something that I know helps me in terms of like being a better speaker, being a better teacher, being a better authority figure. But also, I know for you, like the consumer, like you get something out of it, and you can actually apply it, and like that means the world,
Mm-hmm. Going like a little deeper in that, how when you're connecting with people, how do you do that? Like, is it generally through social media? You mentioned you went to like some conferences. Do you like to try to go to like events and conferences to meet people, or is it more kind of networking through your connections that you have, or like how have you kind of built that network?
Yeah, I mean, I would also say, and I'm extremely grateful for it. Like a lot of my network has been also built through Jordan and Zach, and like, and they know each other. So it's like all these connections that I have. Like I met Jason through Zach, and it's just, again, like it's never burning a bridge, right? That's a big thing. It's like, I always want to keep a relationship. And like Jordan and I are buddies. Like he literally just texted me this morning about a link to a podcast I need to listen to. Right. So it's like, it's always cool. Cause it's like being able to rely on people like that, being able to have those people like in your corner when you need them for anything. It's just like, for me, I always look at it as, when it comes to connecting, it depends on who I'm speaking to. If I'm speaking to someone who DMs me about like, hey bro, I actually just got one yesterday. Like, I do high school videography and I do edits for like high school basketball teams, but like, I kind of want to get in the college space. Like, what do I do? And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, well, what do you actually want to film? Right. And it's like, he didn't know. And it's like, okay, cool. So like what actually fires you up? Like, what do you want to be doing? Right. So it depends who I speak to. If it's another videographer, if it's a coach, much like you, if it's someone who is more well-established in like the entrepreneurial space and wants to build a brand, it totally depends. But like, I can alter how I speak to people, based off of like what they need and where they're at in life, like, and who they serve. Like for example, one person I work with, she's in the hair space. Right. And so she's wanting to build her personal brand. and like I can speak to her because I understand like the blueprint and the fundamentals for building a brand, for building trust, for building videos based off of like connecting. So it's like, okay, cool, let's tailor it towards this. And it's, again, a lot of it is in the DMs, a lot of it is in person. I prefer in-person stuff because you can build more of a relation, you can see body language, you can make eye contact, you can get physical appearance, everything. So it completely depends, and it's contextual as to who and like what we're talking about.
Yeah. And I mean, you do a very good job of that in person as well. I think one of the first things I noticed about you is you're very well spoken. You're very personable. Have you always been that way, or is this something that you've worked on? Because like even at NCI, you got in front of a group of 100 people and spoke very well.
And I greatly appreciate that. Thank you, man. And to be honest with you, I had nothing prepared. Like
I know,
like
it was on a whim.
Yeah, like literally in Nashville, Jason gave me an hour spot to speak again, and I'm like, okay, got it. So now I need to actually have something prepared. But for me, the way I also work too is that like, I don't know. And this is just me. I don't like to be like, well, if we look on the board, like right. I don't present that way. Same. I'm just more of like natural and raw. And like, if you want to ask me questions, like, let's just fire from there. I've never shied away from the camera. Like, and this isn't to like, you know, toot my own horn, but like I've always been very comfortable on camera, in front of and behind the camera, because I think I've gathered a lot of empathy for people who are in front of the camera and they struggle with it, and so I've been able to gather a lot of insight as to how people perform whether or not they are very comfortable on camera or if they're not completely at all. Right? Like I've had people that are like, I press the record button and they're like, oh boy, it's on. And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, yeah. But what I have to do sometimes is I have to turn the shutter button off. And so that way they don't hear the beep, and I'll just be like, all right, you ready to film? Yeah. Okay, cool. And it's already on. And, you know, and meanwhile we got a conversation going and they've been already talking. And they're like, okay, cool. Are we ready? I'm like, we've been filming already, by the way.
It's like a doctor. Like, you're like a doctor giving a shot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
No, we already did the shot.
Literally, it's like with a baby. It's like, you got to distract them. Ding, done. Okay, cool. But that's what it's like with filming. It's just like, you know, you see different varieties of people that are super comfortable, people that are not. And so I've been able to develop a rapport with like, it's so interesting. Like being behind camera, I'm so comfortable with it, but being in front of, like, I love it too. And so like, for me, it's just been like witnessing how people behave in front of it and being able to articulate, okay, cool. Like what's making them struggle? Is it like saying, too much? Is it saying like, is it these filler words? Is it because they're not clear on their messaging? Like, what is it, you know? Yeah. If that
totally. That is helpful. Cause I don't know, before, well, even now, like Travis and I will film things, and if I have to speak on camera now, like I feel like I'm pretty good on camera now.
Yeah.
When we film something, it's usually like one take, but that took a solid year of me filming by myself in my office with my iPhone and screaming fuck like 30,000 times. Like, and also I wasn't good at editing, so I needed to get it all in one take, or else I would spend hours editing it. So I try to get like a 5-minute video all in one take, and it was fucking terrible. So
you saw that Instagram video that I posted.
That reminded me of exactly me.
Literally, I was trying to film a TikTok video about like why an SSD is better than your external hard drive. And the whole time I was like, literally, those are just all outtakes. And I edited it specifically because I'm like, no, this is the reality of filming videos. And that's why a lot of people are like, oh my God, I do this too. And I'm like, yeah, I know you do because I've been around people like you, you know? And that's something that I actually compliment Jason on a lot is I'm like, dude, you are a fucking natural in front of the camera. Like, dude,
it's unreal.
I compliment him like, and I make sure to do it because he is undoubtedly one of the best people I've ever filmed on camera. And he is just so natural with it. Whether it's a YouTube video, like it's literally a one take, and very rarely does he ever mess up. If he does, it's like, cause he like jumbles his words, but like it's rare. And I'm like, dude, you are phenomenal on camera. He's like, thanks, man. I'm like, you're like a wizard with this. I've never seen someone just go off and just be able to be so articulate. I'm like, I just have to compliment you.
Yeah. I don't think he gets it. I don't think he like it's so natural for him that I don't think he knows how unnatural it is.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, thanks, man. I'm like, no. I don't think you realize like sometimes like if it's like a 8-minute YouTube video, he'll just do it in like 10 minutes. And I'm like, you do realize like some people this would take 2 to 3 hours and you're just knocking
2
these
days.
out.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm just like, you're like, this is like some unicorn shit, you know?
Yeah. It's like he's been rehearsing the same thing over and over again in his head. but he also has been speaking for a really long time. So like you get good at this shit. I definitely fuck up and say fuck and cuss and have to start over and, you know, use fillers a lot less than I used to, but always working on it. He's just been doing it for 25 years.
But that's also like part of who you are. It's like, if you didn't swear, I would think something's off.
Oh yeah,
for
like, sure.
Like that's your brand. Like if I were to say, be a freaking shark, it's like, the fuck? No, be a fucking shark. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm doing a presentation on Friday for a business, and I had to ask what it was rated, and the person who set me up with it was like, "Well, they're very Christian." And I was like, all right, well, you better warn them, because I will try not to swear. I will try to be as good as I can, but me trying not to is like, there's a lot of F-bombs going on. So
you should just go in and be like, all right, everybody, in the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, I will try not to swear as much.
Yeah, I'll try not to fucking swear as much as I normally do.
Oh my God.
Is that like being, is that skill being on camera? Do you think that's all repetition, or is it all like born that way, or have you developed tips of how to like cheat code, get better at it?
Josh, you were going to say you have a theory on that?
I have a theory on it, but I want to hear what you have first.
I would say a lot of it is repetition. So here's the thing, right? Like, I think there's talent, and there's also that hard work where it's like that perfect mix, right? Where it's like, we look at someone like LeBron James, like if we insert him into basketball, he's just phenomenal. But we insert someone like, I don't know, someone who's supposed to be talented at basketball, but they just don't work hard at it, then there's no point. I think there's people that are just naturally gifted to be on camera. And if they speak a lot and they're very articulate with their words and they're very authoritative, I think it comes naturally to them. I also think you can work on it. And I think it might take a little bit longer, and that's okay. I think also, man, I think if you just have a clear message as to what you want to say and you know what you're saying, you're more confident in what you're speaking about, right? Like, I think that's why we look at all these people that speak about these like fucking bullshit fit teas and these bullshit like fad diets. Yeah. And it just looks weird because they don't know what they're talking about, and they know it's bullshit. But if you know what you're talking about and you know it's good advice, like Jason speaks very articulately because he knows what he's talking about, and he knows it's very practical. He knows it works and it's not bullshit. And that's why for him, his messaging is very clear. Yes, he has put in the repetitions to be able to articulate and get to that point. But I think without the messaging and understanding what he's saying, like there wouldn't be that harmony of like, you know, it working. It just wouldn't. Mm-hmm. And I think you can put in the reps, and I think like over time you can get better. But I think if you just have that person that's naturally gifted and that also knows their messaging and puts in the reps as well, it's just a fucking, it's a perfect mesh.
I agree. I think knowing your messaging is really important there. The way I think of it is, you know, because I'm in fitness, I relate everything to the gym. You know, you bring somebody into a gym for the first time and they're going to be intimidated. They're not really going to know what to do. If they have a plan, if they know their message, right? If they have a plan, it's going to go a little bit better. Even for someone like me who's been in the gym for close to a decade now, though, I still go into a new gym and I still sometimes don't know where things are. I still sometimes have to figure out equipment. Now, I've practiced this a lot, so I would think of this as, yeah, I've had a lot of repetitions. I'm really comfortable and confident in what I'm doing. I understand my message. I know my program, but still, you put me in front of a different person, a different videographer, a different gym, whatever it is, I still have a little bit of getting used to that I have to go through. But I mean, as with anything, yeah, be clear on what you're doing and practice it to get better at it, not just to go through it.
Yeah. And that's something that I also like to say too, where it's like, what you said in the beginning was super important, where like you say, I would just be alone and with my iPhone and just filming by myself. And like, I would be saying fuck 20 times. I think that's something super important where I recommend to people where it's like, if you're very uncomfortable filming on camera, if you're very uncomfortable being on camera, like spend time alone with yourself, like get uncomfortable with how that feels, like see yourself on camera and like understand like, okay, people are going to see this, but like, I'm not worried about them. I'm worried about getting comfortable with myself. And the number one thing that I say too is like, you know, with getting in the repetitions of getting on camera and speaking on camera too, is like, just focus on speaking to one person. Like you're just talking to that one person. Right. And like work on that and being able to understand that it's much like deadlifting, right? Like you didn't become an expert in deadlifting in overnight. Like it took you 7,000 reps to be able to perfect it. Just like it might take you 7,000 tries to be able to perfect being on camera. I feel like that went a whole different tangent, but it just
No,
kinda
that was-
felt
No,
like-
that- yeah.
That was really
Yeah, it does.
helpful.
The talking to one person thing makes
That's
a big
huge.
difference.
Yeah.
The other thing about filming with someone who's doing your editing and taking your video versus filming on your own is, I film with Travis, and yeah, we do a little quick, tutorial video or whatever it may be. I do it in one take. I don't get to see that. Really. I mean, I can ask him to watch it, but when I'm filming it on my own and I'm filming it with my iPhone in my room and trying to make it perfect, I'm filming it and then I'm watching it. I'm being like, okay, I fucked up there. I said there. I didn't really know. I wasn't clear on what I was saying there. And so I get to watch it over and over and over again. Watching tape in anything you're doing, whether it's football in high school or creating your own videos, is massively important. You need to know where you fuck up. You need to know what your tics are.
I think going back to your point where it's like when we talk about the repetitions and when we talk about like your theory of being on being good at being in front of the camera, you understand where like your mess ups are, like where are you messing up, and then you can be able to correct that, right? Like if you missed a gaffe in football because I don't know, you missed an assignment somewhere, then it's like you understand. Okay, cool.
Too
like
slow.
yeah, it's like, okay, cool. I need to fill that next time. Right. But again, it goes the same thing with video where it's like, okay, cool. If I messed up here at this point, a lot of people, dude, I don't know if Travis, you experience this. A lot of people where they mess up the most is the introduction to videos. Like the number one thing that they mess up on YouTube or any type of video content is the actual intro, because that is for some reason, that is the most sticky point for them. Everything else they just flow with. Getting the introduction down is so hard for them. And so if for you struggle with introductions, practice that. Like practice what you're saying. If like you're going to film a YouTube video, like for example, it's like, hey guys, today I'm going to give you my three best tips for fat loss for the, like, I'm going to give you guys the 3 best tips to lose fat this summer. Right? Like, okay, cool. Make that your introduction, like practice that over and over again and be able to, and do that with different topics. Like, and practice where it's like, hey guys, my name is Enrico Incarnati. I am going to give you my 3 best tips to lose fat this summer. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the subscribe button and we'll get into it, whatever, right? Like just stuff like that, like practice that repetition wise and get a feel for how that feels. I also think a lot of people, I don't know if you guys experience this, when they play back a video and they hear themselves, they're like, that's what I sound like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's what paralyzes and cripples people a lot, because they're like, oh, that's what I sound like. It's like, yeah, that's what you sound like.
But that all comes from them thinking it sounds weird and thinking that other people are going to think it sounds weird. And I think like the only solution to that is, I mean, the repetitions, but what that causes is not caring after a while, you just kind of stop caring what other people think.
Just don't give a fuck.
Yeah. Like, what is someone going to make fun of you? Like most likely not. And even if they do, like, you just like, you got to just deal with it,
And I will say, to your point, like I made a post on Instagram the other day where I'm like talking about this stuff, right? Where it's like, if you didn't care, like if you're just starting out and you didn't care what people thought, like I would be a little worried too, because like we all care what people think. At the end of the day, we all do. It's just, we need to care about the people that actually are going to like listen to our message, right? That's people we need to care about. We don't need to care about fucking Joe Schmo 27, right? Like on fucking YouTube. Like that's not who we need to worry about. We need to worry about Karen, who's a mother of 3 and who needs to hear what you have to say because her fucking life depends on it. Right. So it's like when it comes to not caring what people think, it's not caring about what certain people think. And you build up to that, you build calluses up to that, and understanding who you're talking to. And like, as if you're just talking to that one person, that one friend that their life depends on what you have to say, like that makes all the difference,
Yeah. I think that's valuable. So we've been talking a lot about the quality of how we deliver our content. Yep. And I think that's valuable. It's important. Obviously, the more clear and concise we can be, the better it's going to come off, the better it's going to be received. But what about the quality of the content itself in terms of how it looks, the quality of the photo, the quality of the video? How important is that? And what are some things that people who don't have professional videography equipment or photo equipment, what are some things that they can do to make that look better so it's more it looks better to the eye?
Yeah. So, I mean, the reason I set up my Sony camera is because like, the reason I set it up is because I'm like, all right, I'm a videographer. I want it to look good. Right. Mm-hmm. Like, and I can control that. Like I can control the quality of the video here and the feed. So I'm like, I want to, right now, not everybody can afford a $3,000 to $4,000 camera, which I completely understand. My motto is use what you have, whatever you have. If it's your iPhone, and that's what we can be most consistent with and sustainable with right now, amazing. We're going to use that, right? If we can use a a Canon that's going to have a flip up screen to where you can view yourself and has a viewfinder where you can see what you're doing. Amazing. If you can afford that, I don't want you blowing your money on something that you can't afford. If you can afford and you have the means to purchase a camera, make an upgrade, amazing, do that. But if all you have right now and all you can afford to build a business on, or to build content on, or to make whatever you want on, and that's your iPhone, use that, right? This is what I like to say with and you can relate to this. Like a lot of people in the fitness industry, it's like, okay, well, when you give your client a diet, a protocol or a workout protocol or a diet protocol, it's like, you're going to give them something that's going to be sustainable, right? And you're not going to give them something that's going to be not feasible. Okay. So what is that for you in the video and photo world? What do you have right now to your disposal? What can we use? Right. It's like, if for example, someone only has dumbbells to work out with, cool, then that's what we're going to use. And if you have the means to then get a gym membership, or you have the means to get more equipment, cool, then we'll change it. We'll explore more options, but we're going to work with what we have right now, right? Like if you're strapped for cash and you just have dumbbells and that's all you can afford, cool. Like we can work with that. If you just have your phone, that's all we can work with. Amazing. We'll make great fucking videos that we can, and then we'll work up to it.
Okay. And now you and I had talked about this a little bit. So as you're improving and you're gaining access to better equipment, obviously, like, I started on my iPhone and now I have Travis to do a lot of my content for me.
Yep.
Every now and then, if I am posting Trav's photos, which are phenomenal, and then I post one of mine from my iPhone or a video from my iPhone, I don't like the way it looks in my feed. So every now and then, I'll do like a carousel thing, and I'll post one of his and then one of mine, or I'll try to edit it and do a cover photo. What do you do in that situation? And is it even important? My OCD likes to have consistency, but I don't know if it's actually important.
So let me ask you this. Is that more so a Josh thing, or what people are going to perceive Josh to be then?
I feel like it's more of a me thing. I don't know if people actually care about it.
People don't.
Yeah,
I'm going to be honest with you. People aren't looking at your Instagram like a fucking art gallery. Like they're not buying a ticket to the Museum of Chicago and Science, right? Like people look at your feed as like helpful information, however that's delivered, right? Whether that's a nice photo, it's like, oh, dope, Travis took this. That's a sick shot. Whether it's Josh just taking a selfie video and it's like a personal story about something that's personal to him, like, I don't think people are gonna be like, why is Josh taking photos on his iPhone and it's not Travis's photos? Like the fuck, you know what I mean? Though it's like, and when we say this out loud, like sometimes it can sound silly, but like I also think some people, and this is the healthy relationship where what's better to where it's if we want to get the message out and the only medium that we have at that moment or that time is to post something from our phone, is it better to do that? Or because what a lot of people do, what a lot of videographers and photographers do, where it's like, if it's not a quality, good fucking photo, then I'm just not going to post it at all. And it's like, then we go weeks or days without posting. Right. So it's like, you have to understand what is your message and what's your target, what's your goal with that. Right. I've just realized that for me, like, I think certain people care about the aesthetic a lot in terms of like your feed and how it looks. But if that's what's preventing us and crippling us from posting more and helping more people, it's not fucking worth it.
I would agree with that. And I knew that was going to be the answer. That's definitely something that, like, I post things, and I've done that where I'm like, oh, fuck. I was like, I need to do one of those fit tip posts that like looks this way, so it keeps the line in the column the way I want it. And yeah, I'm holding people back from information.
And to be honest, there's no problem with that. Like I'm fully in agreement with that. Like if we have the ability to post quality content, like we fucking should, right? Because it just only elevates our brand. But if that's what's going to cripple us to where it's like if you have set yourself a goal, every day I'm going to post on Instagram, like every single day I'm going to post on Instagram, but like that's the one thing that's stopping you.
Oh yeah.
For me personally, then that's not really worth it. Right. Because it's like, well, if you're teaching your clients like, hey, if we couldn't get in our workout today, but we got in 15 minutes of walking, are you going to tell them why the fuck did you only get 15 minutes of walking in? Right. It's like, if all they could today was get 15 minutes of walking in because their daughter had to go to the hospital for some fucking accident that happened and she couldn't get her training in and she felt bad about it, would you tell her like, oh my God, it's completely okay, you got something in and I'm proud of you for that? Like it wasn't perfect, but yet you got it done. You know?
Yeah. It's not all or nothing.
I would say my opinion is the only thing that you need to worry about really like for that type of thing, which people don't really think about as much, is audio versus like the video. So if people are like, if you have a video of you with like really loud car background and the noise and they can't understand anything you're saying and like the audio is like really tough to listen to, like maybe don't post that. But worrying about like a a professional photo versus like a photo that you take, I think it's good to even have a goal of not having all like really professional stuff. I think it'd be better to set a goal of like, all right, 50% I have like the professional video and photo, and then 50% is just like me doing a reel or like a selfie or a photo of the food. And it's more personal, behind the scenes type stuff of your life. And I think it's good to like have a goal of having that stuff.
Yeah. And it's also more realistic, and it's like a form of humility, right? To where it's like, you show that side of you where it's like, look, not everything has to be polished and perfect. It's like, this is a raw in the moment, real photo. With the audio, I think that is something that is super important. Like I could go out and film on my iPhone, like of a video, but I'm going to hear cars in the background and it's going to sound like I'm 90 feet away. Right. So that's an example to where if your budget is maybe $30, $40 and we can attach a microphone clip to you from your iPhone. And because the phone is all we have, but we have a little wiggle room. Cool. Like let's fix the audio, you know?
And nobody starting like thinks of that, including me. Like I was just, when I started, it was just, I was researching cameras so much, so worried about like the camera equipment. And I didn't realize that audio is like the most important part, pretty much, not in every circumstance, but it's the only thing that I think something can be unwatchable really is like the audio versus the video.
Yeah, because the video, it's always going to be something to where it's like you can see it, but like if you have to like and you're like going like this with like if there's like a piercing sound and you're like, oh, that sounded bad, you're going to want to click off.
Yeah.
Right. Like I think audio matters a ton. Yeah, I agree with you.
And when setting up the podcast, I think that's, you had already known, Travis, you had already known quite a bit about audio, but you were like, no, we're getting the best possible audio equipment.
Yeah.
But we're not cutting any corners.
People are used to it though. That's the thing. Like audio really is different than video. Like a bad photo that you take on your camera is still so much better than the technology that we had a few years ago. Whereas audio, people really are more used to a good audio sound. Like I think the audio on our podcast sounds great. I was listening to like the episode earlier, and then something else came on, and the harsh difference between like the bad audio and the good audio was like, oh man, I wanted to turn it off. And I think, if there's one thing, if you're looking to improve your content, I just feel like audio is probably the first thing you should do.
And you guys are using those Shure mics, right?
Yeah. We got the Shures here. They're great.
Those are phenomenal. Yeah, those are phenomenal.
They are great.
I mean, even just listening to you right now, I'm like, this just sounds beautiful.
Buttery.
Nice.
Yeah, buttery. So I can't imagine in post-production it must just sound sexual.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. So, okay, well, to that point, to like improving the quality of not only the media, the media itself, that you can take on your iPhone. You mentioned if you're taking video on your iPhone and you want better sounding audio, you can get like a clip-in lapel mic or whatever it may be. What are some things that people just with iPhones can do, or just with their phones in general, to take better photos and videos and have better sound quality?
So it totally depends. I mean, I think if we are outside and we can't really control the conditions a lot, your iPhone is this is why I'm I love the iPhone, because it automatically adjusts in like any scenario, right? And it's a phenomenal tool. And that's why I also push if like we're inside and we can use some lighting, like we can invest in some lighting here and there, like some soft boxes or a ring light, or being able to film more so in the shade, so it's not so harsh on your face and you don't get blown out exposure. But like also on your phone, if you're wanting to take a photo, like you can control the exposure level simply by just tapping on the autofocus yellow square and then just moving the exposure down. Like if like that's just like a little quick little photo tip with, taking photos on your phone. You can also, I forget what the app is called, but it allows you to take raw photos, which as a photographer, like raw is the best quality that you can get because it maintains a lot of the data within the photo, and you can be able to edit it and manipulate it more than a JPEG. I forgot the app name, but it allows you to take raw photos with your iPhone, and it's a phenomenal app. But one thing I always say is like, if we can control lighting as much as possible in our indoor situations, because I know a lot of people like they film inside, or they film at the gym, or they film like, outside. But like if you're filming in the gym too, it's like try to use as much lighting as you can. Like you go by a window if you can. Like that's why a lot of people, like when they post their swipe workouts, they'll be, close to a window because the lighting, makes their butt look bigger or makes their arms look better, and it just glistens more, right? So utilizing that as much as you can. And if you can't, cool, then like, obviously you can't bring in freaking massive lighting into a gym, but like, utilizing whatever you have, finding the down lighting. I know a lot of gyms, sometimes they'll have like that open glass where like the light just shines through and it's just phenomenal lighting.
Everyone knows where that is. It's where you look the biggest in the gym. That's where that is.
Absolutely. So, and like, post training session and cardio, you're dripping, you're just fucking peeled, right?
Yeah.
So just understanding and being able to like understand where at the gym, like you can use your phone, where at the gym you can find best lighting. And that's a lot of trial and error with like playing around with that, right?
Yeah, the lighting is definitely super helpful. I mean, it took me a long time, even just like taking progress photos for my coach. It took me a long time. And then I realized that I was doing it wrong the whole time. I had the light coming straight onto my body, not even thinking that I know every time I'm in a gym, I go near the window where it's not straight onto my body and it looks better.
And you know what the number one thing that bothers me, and I can always see it, I'm going to do this right now, is that whenever they film, they're either, I always push to film on the back of your phone because the quality is better as opposed to the front. Wipe the damn lens down. Just wipe the lens, because I can always see when there's a sweat mark, because God forbid, I don't know why people are talking like this sometimes, like you can see the fingerprints though, or like the sweat from when you had a call with Linda the other day. And it's like, you can see the freaking sweat marks on it. It just looks, so it's like, let's just wipe the lens. Like that is like the number one thing where whenever people are like, oh, can you take a quick photo of me? And then literally I'll just wipe their lens like, oh, he's a professional. And I'm like, I'm just wiping the lens as if it's like some new thing. And I'm just like, I promise you it'll look so much better, but yeah, just wiping your lens down. I am always such an advocate for using the back of your camera. I have a Joby Gorilla Pod. I'm sure you're familiar with what that is. Like it's you don't know what a Joby Pod is?
No, I've never heard of this.
Hang on.
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay.
I was going to say there was going to be.
This is a Joby Pod. I recommend if you're in the gym, get one of these.
Sick. Yeah.
Yeah.
I need that.
So this, you can like wrap around other equipment.
I used to have one of those. Okay. I need another one. Joby Pod.
You don't have to buy this one, but you can buy like another version of this, and like you can bring it to the gym. It's very minimal. It's very like non-invasive. You can film your videos vertically, horizontally, but like what I love about this is it's very minimal. It's not like a massive tripod that it's like, oh my God, what is this guy filming? It's like you can attach to equipment, be very minimal with it, and be very like non-invasive in people's business. But it helps a lot with like diversifying your shots and being able to set it up on, I don't know what I'm trying to think. Like if you're doing a seated like fly, you can attach it to another piece of equipment that's across from it and be able to get like a different angle instead of just, propping it up on your water bottle and trying to angle it up. Like you can film it here and like set it up to where it's like more perpendicular, more even with what you're doing,
That's great.
That is great. I think, and to clients listening, I'm probably going to want you to get those too, because it makes assessing your videos way easier when you're actually in frame and they're set up well.
Yeah.
And it's more fun too, right? Like you can be at the gym and you're not doing a whole production thing either, but like you can kind of get creative where you're like, ooh, how can I film myself in the gym? It's like, ooh, my butt looks bigger in this in this lighting or at this angle, or like, ooh, my triceps look better here. I mean, for me, it's fun.
Sure. I think a lot of people, especially when they start filming themselves in the gym, are a little intimidated by filming themselves in the gym and looking weird doing it. But also they don't know where to set up their phone if they've never done it before. So it seems like this could make it easier to understand where you should set up your phone. It might be a little bit more intimidating for some people who are already nervous about filming themselves in the gym, because it is a little bit more of a production, but it's going to make it so much easier. And like you said, have some fun with it. Like no one cares.
And that's the other thing. And that's who cares? Like, and this is the other thing. A lot of people are worried about what other people are going to think about them when they're filming. And I'm like, I promise you, they're more worried about what you think of them, right? Like they're more worried about what you think of them, where it's like, you could be the cute girl in the gym and that guy's like, oh shit, is my chest big enough? Does she see the pump that I have right now? Or you know what I mean? Or it's like people are so much more focused on them. And like, I look at the gym as just like this pool of just everyone worried about what everyone else is thinking. So it's like, just focus on what you're doing. Like, I promise you, people don't care. And I don't know. And if there's any people that work at gyms, like, I'm going to say this and I'm going to be honest, like, if you tell me to not film, I'll be like, amazing. I'm going to keep fucking filming until you decide to take my camera away, which you're still not going to have. But like, for me, it's just like, I'm focused on myself. I know my purpose behind this. I know my intentions. And if God forbid fucking Karen in the background's like, am I in your shot? I'm going to be like, you can go fucking move. I'm going to film right here. I promise you, you're not in the shot. I promise, like, you can be certain of that. But like, if you get that one-off person, don't let that person deteriorate you from like not filming. Like, people are all, if she's, I'm going to go tell management, go tell management. I will gladly welcome them. Like, I don't know. That's just my motto is like, I know my goal. I know my intention. And like, I'm there for me. Everyone else is there for them. And it's like, that's all you got to worry about.
Yeah. Everything that you're doing should be getting you closer to your goal, and like, fuck everything else. That's really just what it comes down to.
And again, and it takes time to build up to that, right? Like, again, if we all walk into the gym, not being like, I don't care what anybody thinks. We all care, but like, it's just not caring as much over time. Yeah.
Like the first time somebody walks into a gym, I talk to my clients about this. The first time somebody walks into a gym and they're intimidated because they don't know how any of the equipment works or where things are, and they don't have a plan, or they're trying to figure out how to follow that plan. I'm like, dude, I don't fucking know. I joined Armbrust. I joined a pro gym maybe 4 months ago or so, and there's equipment in there that I've never seen. And yeah, I'm like kicking shit, trying to figure out how it works. Where's the seat adjustment? Is this plate loaded or is it selectorized? Like, I have no idea. And it occurred to me, because that was the first time I had been to a new gym consistently in a long time. It occurred to me, I was like, I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing either. I just don't care, because I've been doing this long enough to know that nobody else fucking cares either. And if somebody's watching me trying to figure out how to use a machine, they're more likely going to ask if I need help trying to figure it out than they are going to like make fun of me.
Yeah. And dude, like often than not too, like if I bring my camera around, or like when I'm out filming with Jason, it's like, yeah, I could like, cause we went to go golf in Scottsdale like the last couple of days. And it's like, yeah, I could worry about what other people think. A, it's my job and I'm going to film and I don't care. But like B, it's like, even if people ask, they're more curious in a sense of like, how can I support you? Right. Not in a sense of like, how can I tear you down? They're more willing to be like, what are you filming for? Like, is this for YouTube? Like literally there was this one grounds guy who worked at the where we were. We went to a golf course in Arizona, whatever. And he's like, are you guys like some like, influencers, some like golf influencers? And Jason's like, not quite golf influencers, but he's like, we're pretty big in the fitness space. And just the way he worded it. But it's like, people are curious. They're not going to be like, put your camera away, man. It's like, no, they're like, ooh, what are you filming? And it's like, well, what are you filming for? What's a YouTube channel? Like, they want to support. Like, natively, we want to support. And if fucking Karen is going to tear you down, then her life sucks, and that's on her, right? Like,
that's Karen.
Those situations generally are what you make of them too. Like,
of course,
if someone comes up to you, if someone's looking at you, and in your head you're like, oh, this person's judging me, like, then that's what's happening. But it's most likely not what's happening. I mean, it's not what's happening. They're just looking at you because they're curious. But like, your negative perception of that is what turns it into like that whole thing. So
yeah, they're more so just curious in terms of like, what is he doing? Like,
yeah,
dude, when you bring this into a gym, like, yes, it looks odd, but some people are like, why is he like attaching that to the, like, what is he doing? But then at the end of the day, they're back on their phone, or they're back hitting their set, right? Because it's like, they're just like, okay, cool. Like, he's filming, like,
yeah,
they're just curious. They're not going to really be like, I'm going to go tell, because it looks like he's making this whole production. It's like, oh, dope. He's just filming himself. Cool. Whatever,
I mean, the first time you go and talk to a girl or a guy or whatever, that's really awkward and makes you feel nervous. And you think like, oh, this person's going to like hate me. And then you realize like, they're nervous and awkward too. They just want you to make it less nervous and awkward. Like, that's all they really want. They're rooting for you. You're the one that like, understanding that it's like anything. Like, the first time you go out and do a photo shoot or whatever, it's going to feel like a little weird, but you gotta just put in the reps and realize that people are generally just rooting for you. And like, that idea is in your head kind of.
Yeah. And dude, like, going like this just jogged my memory, where you're like in the beginning, where you're like, well, how do you build those connections with people? Is it in DMs? Is it like in person? And it's like, if you see someone doing something like this or filming, it's like, ask questions, like, be curious, like, be that person to where it's like, people love talking about what they're doing, and like, they would more likely than not like be receptive to that. Right. So it's like, when you talk about how to build connection, how to build stuff like that, it's like, find the people that are doing what you're doing, where it's like, for example, if you see someone filming in the gym, you're like, oh my God, I filmed. Like, anytime I see someone filming in the gym with a camera, I always go up to them where I'm like, hey, like, I'm Enrico, but I'm never like, I don't know if you know who I am. No,
yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like, you know what I mean? I'm like, hey, I'm Enrico. Like, dude, like, I love that camera. Like, like, what are you shooting? Da, da, da. It's like, and then you build connection that way. And then you like, I don't know, it's like, yo, what's your IG? Like, I'm going to go back to my workout. It's like, cool. Like follow each other on Instagram. And then like, here's the thing. If and when you do that, and you make a connection, follow up with that person. Like an hour later, I'll be like, yo, man, like, hope you had a great workout. It was really nice meeting you. Let me know if I can help you with like anything on cameras, but like super dope. And I support what you're doing. Like, who's going to be like, fuck that guy? Right? Like, again, it goes back to just being a good person and just showing genuine interest. And it's like, you find that common ground and you find that commonality. And it's like, I'm sure a lot of girls at the gym, they connect with each other. It's like, oh my God, where'd you get those Gymshark pants? You know, it's like you find things that you can relate on, right? It's like, anytime I see someone at the gym with like an Alpha Elite sweatshirt, I'm like, hey, like, you know what I mean? It's like that's that point of reference for me where I'm like, I follow Christian, I know of him. And it's like, it's that bond, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And most of that is like for yourself. Like how good would that feel if someone did that to you?
Exactly.
Just fucking do that to other people.
Exactly
do that for other people.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's that simple. So I've got a lot more questions, but I think we've got time for a couple more.
Bro, you ask as many as you want. I mean it. Like, you're good.
So we were talking about apps before, and you're gonna. I do want you to send us the name of that app.
I got two for you.
You got two apps?
Yeah. Pro Camera is for iOS.
Okay.
That might be it.
And that one shoots RAW, and then you can download like a free Adobe Lightroom app, which edits RAW.
Okay, because I was gonna say I have Lightroom, and I will edit photos every now and then, especially if I take them on my iPhone, so they don't look that much different than Travis's. They only look like 90% different rather than 100% different. But so yeah, I Lightroom for editing. Is there any other apps or tools that you think make this easier, make it more fun and more, I guess, just quality to make media like this?
Yeah. So I'm looking on my phone right now. I have InShot, which is another good app for video. That is a phenomenal video for a lot of people. So a lot of people, they come to me like, dude, how do I make like Jordan style videos or Gary V style videos where it's like the meme style, right? And it's like, you can create that in InShot for yourself. So InShot is a great app to start with. I'm trying to see. Lightroom is a phenomenal app to use as well. I'm trying to see what other apps do I have on here. Prisma. Have I used that one before? InShot is a good one that I know of. I'm trying to think of other apps that I've been able to use. I mainly predominantly use like desktop softwares of like Adobe and Final Cut. But I would say like, if you can get really familiar with even iMovie, it's a great just beginner software to use on your phone. Yep. Just understanding the basics of how it works in an editing app on your phone and being able to translate that to a desktop, I think is huge. And that's always a progression that I like to go is like, okay, cool. Let's see what we can do on our phone in terms of editing and, captioning or whatever. And then let's move that to a desktop, right? Because that's the next progression. I'm always about progressing people, right? And it's like, if you get to a point where, and that's why, at some point where people are like, fuck, I don't want to do this anymore. I'll just hire you to do it. I'm like, that's why I'm here, right? Because I want you to be able to understand what it's like to do it. And then if you're like, fuck, this is taking me too long still, or like, I just don't have the time anymore. Amazing. But like, we progress to that. So fuck, I'm trying to think. I don't have any apps. You put me on a good spot here that I don't know.
No, you're good. I think that last point was really valuable. I mean, that's what I did is I was doing my own content. I was doing my own photo, my own video, until I just didn't have time for it. And it got to a point where I was like, this could be so much more effective. I can use this time in a much more efficient way to actually continue to build my business, that the money that I will pay someone to do it for me will not come near what I can like grow my business with that money for. So
yeah, or even like I just got off the phone with a lady before we hopped on and she just had a baby and like she's looking to do video editing and for her, like she told me she's spending 15 hours with like post-production editing a video. And I'm like, oh my God. And I'm like, imagine all that time back with your daughter that you just had.
Yeah.
And like, that was a whole like, holy fuck moment. And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, think about it. That's like time with your daughter that you won't be able to get back, but now you have.
Dude, I do that with like every decision I have to make.
Yeah.
I'm like, how much time is it going to take for me to do it? And how much is it going to cost for me to pay somebody to do it? And if it's going to cost less than the amount of time that's required for me, yeah, I'm paying somebody to do it. I don't care if it's mowing my lawn. I'm going to pay somebody to do it.
Yeah, I always look at it this way. So I reframe it to where, what's this going to cost me? But yet, what can I use that to invest in?
Yep.
Right.
Exactly.
This is costing me this on this end. Like, for example, like I don't speak websites. I just got off the phone earlier today with like a website girl. I have no fucking clue how websites work. Like, that's not my language. You give me any editing software, I will knock that out. Websites, not my language. So for me to learn this is costing me a lot of time, but I am willing to invest in it because for me, I understand that is your expertise. That is your language that you speak. And that's why I'm willing to invest in that. Right. And it's like, it's all a cost and investment type of relationship.
Yeah. And then
everything.
you use the time that you saved to do your job.
Yeah.
And grow your business.
Or not even. If you want to just go on fucking vacation, if you want to just like go have a massage or a mental health day for yourself, like that, like what is that worth to you? You know what I mean? Like what are those things that you're not doing that you could be doing? Like, what's that worth it to you? You know?
Facts. And that comes down to mental health. So
big facts.
Preach that shit. Yep. But yeah, man, it's been really great having you on. I'm glad we could figure out a time that works for both of us. And, you know, before we leave, of course, I want you to be able to tell the people where you are and what you're doing and give yourself a little bit of the plug. Where can they find you? Where can they learn from you? Yeah, plug it up.
I mean, you can follow me Instagram, Rico.Incarnati. Trying to do more on YouTube. So it's just my first and last name, Enrico Incarnati. I'm trying to think. That's really all I got. I mean, I'm not going to be like, hey, buy this, buy that. I am going to be dropping a course very soon, and you will learn about that, Josh, in Nashville. So that'll be dope. That's it. I mean, honestly, I just want people to be fucking sharks, and that's it.
Sick. I love that. And yeah, obviously, I mean, you're in media. It would make sense that YouTube and Instagram is where we're going to find you. So I highly recommend everybody go follow Rico. Of course, not only a wealth of knowledge, but like provides a lot of really valuable information, has a lot of really cool stuff, gives away free wallpapers all the time and just awesome photos and shit. So definitely recommend it. We'll put your usernames and shit in the show notes so people will be able to find you. But yeah, man, this has been a really good time. I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, we'll keep this going. Of course, I'm going to see you in Nashville, so we'll hang out there. And until then, we'll keep in touch. But for all of you who tuned in to another episode of the Struggle to Strength podcast, we thank you very much. We'll see you all next week.